Hello, everybody. Uh, Welcome. I am Danielle Wilson, and I will be your host today. And as always, we're trying to do a live, and Danielle's not the most technically adept person when it comes to this stuff. I'm very, very old school. What can I say? I was raised in a world without an internet. So today, I want to talk a little bit about personality types and how we can actually use those to grow our sales and make more consistent income. So it sounds like it might be a little bit of psychology involved, but not really. It's actually some pretty simple ways to do that. So if you don't know me, hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm your host here in Introverted Females Overcoming Sales Anxiety. And I help introverted female wellness coaches to overcome that sales anxiety and create consistent income. And we do that by using my empathic relationship-based sales strategies and techniques that actually feel very comfortable, very authentic, very natural, relaxed, all of that great stuff. So, personality types. I don't know about you, but I love doing personality type little quizzes. I'm a very inquisitive kind of a person, and I just love to understand who I am. Earlier today, I was actually doing some investigating some research on the idea of human design. And if you are a bit woo-woo, or like me, you're a little bit hippy-dippy voodoo bullshitty kind of girl, all of these notions around the pattern of life and where we come from, and I just find them fascinating. And if you do too, I found my research into human design really quite fascinating. And I learned that I'm a generator. There you go. So this could be one of the reasons that I am more inclined to wait for people to come to me rather than me to go chase them. That's actually what feels right in my gut. And it turns out by design, that's who I am. Hey, Cheryl. So what we're talking about today, and I've actually even prepared a little bit of a couple of slides to show, because I find that visual people, when I'm just talking about some of these more out there concepts, visual people go, yeah, gone, don't know what you're talking about, don't get it. Are you a generator too? That is so cool. No wonder we get along. So I'm going to be sharing a couple of slides. And so that's why I've done it on Zoom in particular today, because if you do share your screen doing Facebook Live, it doesn't seem to be able to come back into your live, and it either ends your live or just stays on your screen, and we don't want that. So personality types. Who here does personality type quizzes, right? If you are here with me live, it would be great if you could do something like Cheryl's done, just to kind of say, hey, whether you put live or replay. Then that way, if you have asked a question and I'm not here live, I always know to come back and answer your question, and I can specifically do that knowing that you've seen the full thing or not the full thing. Let's talk about personality types, and you'll start to get to know that I have this brain that goes all over the place. I go off on tangents and hopefully come back in. Personality types. I'm going to talk to you today about the merrill-reid system. And the merrill-reid system is actually the most commonly used by management companies, HR departments, those kinds of things. The Myers-Briggs is a really long one. That's where you get the INFJs and those letters. The merrill-reid one, though, is a very super simple system that has just four personality types. And really the truth is, no matter what your test results might tell you, you are all four. There are very rare people on the planet who are all four in equal amounts, and there are even rarer numbers of people who have none of one of the personality types. So the idea of understanding personality types, and why I want to talk about this today, is in my session earlier today with one of my clients, I actually gave a little bit of homework around this. I've given her a quiz to do, and she's got to actually think about people that she knows in her life that fit each of the types. And we're going to discuss it from there. What it can help you to do is it can actually help you to create a little bit more flexibility in your personality and draw on the parts of you that actually already exist. So I did say that very rare would a person not have at least some element of each of the four personality types in them. And rare as well would be having an equal amount of all four. Why this matters is, imagine you have one style. So imagine I'm a really quiet, shy, I come across like a bit of a people pleaser. I talk a lot about being inclusive. I talk a lot about, as I'm talking, you hear me saying we all the time. And I don't mean we all the way home or urine. I actually mean we, as in the collective. If I'm using that kind of language, you might take a guess that I'm an amiable person. And that's one of the personality types. And of course, there are 3 others. Well, which one is going to be the most, I'll call it offensive, repulsive to that personality type? Well, it's going to be the person that's always in there, always like gangbusters, go, 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 drive, drive, drive. That kind of personality type is going to be a little bit repulsive to an amiable person. And if you can understand who the person is that's in front of you, you can have a little bit better idea how to approach them. So one of the things that I had said earlier in my session with my client was, I've told you all the time, be authentic, be your authentic self. And now I'm saying to you, but modify your personality and be a little bit flexible. You must be thinking, what? Make up your mind, Danielle. And what I'm actually suggesting to you is that because those elements are actually within you already, you are still being your authentic self. Knowing who the person is in front of you in terms of how they respond to the world, how they view the world, where they see their place in the world, where they want their place to be in the world, what matters to them, understanding those kinds of things, you can certainly uncover in conversation. You can also actually uncover these things by a couple of very quick, easily observable things like body language and the types of words that they choose to use to express themselves. So what I'm going to show you right now, if I can get my screen to share, I'm going to show you. Let me come over here. All right. So I want to show you just super quickly. Hopefully you can see me as well. I don't know. Can I make that bigger? Oh, look, there I am. Ha, ha, ha. Look at me learning. So while I've got the screen share up, I'm afraid I won't see your questions. So I'll try to come in and out as much as possible so that you will have an opportunity to interact with me. The merrill-reid method, as I said, has 4 different types. And what they're really doing is on the vertical axis, they're actually looking at the spectrum of assertiveness. So how well you are able to speak up for yourself. And on the horizontal axis, the left to right, you're actually talking about responsiveness. So I know that in speaking with another one of my clients, she was actually remembering that she had done some personality studying in terms of colors. So if you've ever been exposed to personality typing where you're talking colors, this is kind of the same idea, right? So we've got the 4 types. We've got the analytical, the driver, the expressive, and the amiable. And I'd like to talk a little bit about each different type just really briefly for you so that we can start to have a foundation of understanding for what I'm going to speak about today. So when we think about the amiable type, and if anybody's ever watched the movie Divergent, then you'll kind of already have a bit of a feel for this typing, where they separated everybody up into the different factions. So amiable, when people are asking a lot of why questions, often when people are kind of quiet and shy, and I don't mean introverted because I am introverted, but I'm loud, right? And I did used to be shy. I'm a lot less shy now, unless I'm in a social situation. So I still definitely have some amiable in me. Amiables are peacekeepers. Amiables like to keep balance. Amiables are phenomenal negotiators simply because they're trying to create a win-win outcome on both sides. But they are highly sensitive, right? Sometimes they can even appear wishy-washy, but the thing that's really important is that they have difficulty making firm decisions. The person that is nodding along, and you think, yeah, I got him, yet nodding along, and then suddenly goes, yeah, no thanks, or makes up some excuse about how they're going to slip out of this seeming commitment they've been making, they're more likely to have the amiable part of their personality coming through. And sometimes some people live a lot in that amiable, and they're really hard to sell to simply because they're afraid to make a decision in case it upsets someone else. All right. Drivers, on the other hand, they're definitely more what questions. What is this? What's the deadline? What's the process? What's the steps? What? They're very objective focused. They know what they want. They know how to get there. There you go. They do communicate quickly, but unfortunately in the process, they often can come across as being either rude, brusque, arrogant. And this is why that amiable personality can be so repelled by them, is because they're soft hearts, right? They're very sensitive. And so they are trying not to create imbalance. They're conflict avoiders, where although a driver is not necessarily a conflict seeker, they're certainly not afraid of it. The beautiful thing about having a driver in that opposite seat in front of you is that they are very quick to make decisions, very, very quick to make decisions. And quite often you can just help them to make that decision by showing them that the ends justifies the means. So that's kind of nice. They don't shy away from conflict. The next one is the expressive. And they ask a lot of who questions. So you'll see here, and this was the funny thing that made me think I need to do these PowerPoint slides, is because in talking with Teresa earlier today, and I said that expressives are peacocks. And I gave her 4 different bird types to go with each one to help. Peacocks are prancers, aren't they? They're proud little prancers. They want, look at me, right? So really, if you think about it, you can appeal to them by saying things like, so-and-so did it. You can talk about, important figures in public that maybe they've identified that they idolize, or that they've got a bit of a hero thing going on with it. You could talk about things that that person has done that would actually make this person feel more like them. But they are usually very competitive. But here's the thing as well, they are also fantastic storytellers. If you've got a person in front of you that has difficulty knowing when to, right, and is actually derailing your conversation on a regular basis, the one that keeps your 30-minute conversation going so long that suddenly it's been an hour and a half and you're going, you can see that I'm a little bit expressive. Anyway, the thing about expressives as well, though, is that they are procrastinators. They would rather talk about it than actually do it quite often, unless they can recognize the perceives that that's going to get them. And then we have the analytic. And quite often introverts are analytics. And the reason we are analytic is because we are highly detail oriented. We are observing the world around us. We have a preference to kind of sit back and observe. We're very thoughtful in our responses. And you can see myself identifying with this. I am actually an analytic driver. So when I do my personality testing, I'm actually an analytic driver. I like a lot of detail in my research phase. I like to do that independently because once I'm there, I like to make a fast decision. So dealing with me could be fun or it could be awful, right? All right, let me get us out of. Let me get us out of there. There we go. Okay, so now let's talk about how these 4 personality types actually influence your sales presentation. Imagine that, like me, you are the kind of person who can be very loud, very abrupt. Sometimes I say things because they're the right words to choose, but I forgot to soften them a little bit for the person in front of me who may not actually be open to receiving such honest, brusque truth. What if I am really detail oriented and I love to know all of the ins and outs and whys and hows and all of the nitty gritty? What if you don't? So you see how understanding your own personality type and understanding their personality type can actually help you to adjust how you speak with people. And that's really what the key is in understanding personality types. When we did the empathic communication training, I kind of touched on this a little bit, and I talked about how you want to meet the person in front of you at the same place that they are when you first go into your sales presentation. So whether you are actually out hustling, going door to door, whether you are doing inside sales, whether you are doing network marketing, whether you're a coach, really no matter what business you're in, if you are selling, you're going to be encountering other people. And your goal, of course, is to hopefully motivate, not convince, motivate them to want to buy your product or service. The best way to do that is to demonstrate that you are like them, because people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And rapport is most easily built when we actually recognize our similarities in one another. So I want you to imagine for one moment that you are a very shy, perhaps even nervous person. You're very soft spoken, and this is kind of your energy level, and you kind of shrink a little bit. And if you're talking like this, and if you're a coach, quite often people are coming in, they're nervous, right? They're feeling like, I really don't know what to expect, and I'm scared. And if you've got this little amiable element to you as well that just kind of comes on even stronger, if you are the person who is the salesperson and the person in front of you is an expressive, oh yeah, they're big and they're bold and they're loud, the two of you are just going to create this like wall between you where you just keep butting up against it. But now imagine, even though you're amiable and this person's all energetic and high energy and expressive and they like to laugh and they got a big smile, and imagine if you could kind of fall into that a little bit, right? It doesn't mean that you need to betray who you are, but do you find that when you get more comfortable with people, you actually start to open up a little bit more? You get to allow these other aspects of your personality to come through a little bit more. That's all this really is. It's being able to recognize early in the conversation with other people what kind of personality they have, so that you can try to match the elements of you that are also like that and bring those to the forefront, rather than letting them sit in the background waiting to get to know that person. And I know that can be a real risk. I promise you, I know that can be a real risk to put yourself out there like that, even that little bit. If you've been following me for a while, you've heard the story about being so incredibly painfully shy growing up that I would rather take the abuse my mother would give me than ask a stranger for the time and show up. I would rather be late home and take the beating and the beratement than actually ask a stranger for the time. That's how painfully shy I was. If a person was getting on an elevator, we lived in a lot of apartments growing up, and if a person got on the elevator, I would hop off. I'd go to the stairs. I would hide in a corner if it was already too late, and I'd just look down at my shoes and beg, please don't talk to me. And now I've managed over the course of time to evolve my personality and become a little bit more outgoing, in the sense that I now know how to have robust conversations with people, how to connect with them early on. And it was an intentional skill that I developed. So I don't want you to think, well, yeah, look at you, Danielle, you're so outgoing. I don't even know why you're helping introverts. You're an extrovert. I'm actually not. I just know how to access those parts of my personality that are going to help me in my business to create my success, and bring those forward to you. Because why would anybody hire me if they didn't think that I knew what I was talking about? They wouldn't. And so I need to be able to present those parts of me in order to be able to demonstrate that I actually do know what I'm talking about. But inside the real Danielle, the shy, quiet Danielle, the one that uses her husband as a security blanket and, kind of puts him up as a shield whenever we have to go up in public anywhere. I promise you, I really do understand what it's like. And so 4 different personality types. I would really, really love to have you do some work to uncover what your personality type is. And I wasn't going to put my tool up here, but I'm going to, because I just like to do that. I'm very, very curious to have everybody share what personality type they've got. So I'm going to put a form in the comments here, and it's actually going to be a quick little quiz, just a fun, quick little quiz that helps you to identify your natural inclination to personality. And here's the thing about doing this quiz. I don't want you to read, because it's a multiple choice. Great for generators, right, Cheryl? So it's a multiple choice. And here's what I want you to do is you read the questions and read each of the scenarios, and you're given 4 options of ways to respond. I don't want you thinking, well, I want to respond this way. I think that's the right answer. There is no right answer. Every answer is correct. So all you're doing is you're trying to get this system, this template going, so that you can count the number of each kind of question, A, B, C, D, and put them into understanding what your personality type is, where you are strongest. Once you have that, I'd love to have a conversation, and then I would kind of like if somebody would step up and say, sure, I'll do it. I'd like to have a live where we do a role play where we have two different personality types having a conversation so that we can start to understand and solidify this understanding of how do we access those parts of ourselves that exist, that are truly part of our personality, bring them forward, let them shine when we are with a person who has demonstrated a different personality type. When you meet up with people that are just like you, oh my gosh, that's easy. That is so easy. You both naturally flow, you naturally communicate the same way, right? When you come up with somebody that makes you go, oof, yeah, you got to learn how to deal with them. You've got to learn how to communicate with them, because even if you don't wish to take them on as a client, right? In life, we are all going to encounter personality types that kind of like, and sometimes they're important to our success. I know a few of the people in this group are still working in environments where they actually have a leader above them, they've got colleagues around them, whether they're going to an office or a retail environment or what have you. But being able to simply just get along in the world of our work environment can even be a reason to implement some of these strategies. It just helps us to feel more at home in the world. And then therefore that allows us to show up as our authentic selves more easily, in a more relaxed, comfortable, natural way. And that is my goal, right? Because I help introverted female coaches to overcome sales anxiety. Doesn't mean I don't want to help you to overcome the introverted, anxious feeling that you may get going into a social situation, because sometimes those social situations are great networking opportunities, right? That's something that we're going to talk about another day. Right now, we're going to talk about personality types. I'm going to drop that file into the comments below. I would love if people would participate in this with me. Do your personality type. Feel free to take a picture and put your results just on the screen. Nobody needs to know the answers to your individual questions. This is really just about what did you learn about yourself, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. I hope that you are having a phenomenal, phenomenal day. It is 15 degrees here. Can you imagine? Yesterday was -4, freezing rain, gross, gross weather. Today is glorious 15. It's a windstorm, but beautiful, beautiful day to go for a walk. So I hope you get out and get some fresh air. I hope you're nourishing yourself and getting in your water. Don't forget your water. I know Teresa will be happy that I said get your water. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow, because I am trying to do a lot more lives, because I think this is the way that a lot of people learn. I know that I do. Thanks so much, everybody. If you've ever got any questions, you'd like to see a specific kind of a training in the group, you can either slide into my DMs and let me know that, or you can post a question here in the group and I'll be sure to answer it. All right. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye, everybody.